orbit.
And we're getting ready then, all set for the MotoGP. The Tissot sprint then for the 9th race of the season and round 5 of the championship as well. Fabio Quartararo on pole position with Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia alongside as well. Hello everybody, welcome to the comms box. Literally in this case, I'm in a commentary box 3 at Donington Park and I've stumbled across an old mate, Michael. Oh, hello Michael, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me up. I'm just
Pleasure,
having a nice weekend away watching touring cars, and I was trying to find a nice vantage spot to watch MotoGP sprint, and you said you fancy coming up to the comm and doing what I do for a living, and I thought, how could I resist?
Exactly, best seat in the house, literally in a side of commentary box for the first time, although I wish A, we had a bit separated of mics, B, lit micro headsets, see some stats on the wall. It's feeling very bit claustrophobic, but we've got a great view out the box window of the Porsches going on right now with their first session. Just see, we're a few minutes away from the grid. Megan's also in the comms box with us. I know we can't see her up here in the box, but she's there on camera in front of you. Hello, Megan. How are you doing?
I am doing okay, though I think I've been doing quite well today throughout things. You are a little bit glitchy here and there, though I think that's just because of the distance.
Yeah, it's going to be like that throughout the entire session, really, with trackside stuff as well with the connection. It's not 100% the best, but we can see the TV pictures is great. So, Michael, you've been in the World Superbike paddock so far this season. What, we've done 2 races so far? Three
rounds. Yeah, 3 rounds,
Australia.
9 races, because we get three weekends. But it's been interesting, hasn't it? I got to say, it's shaping up now to be what I expected it to be. I think there was a lot of people after the opening round in Phillip Island where they thought it was going to be a Ducati runaway, and Bulega did dominate there, didn't he? I mean, it was impressive to see what Nicolo Bulega did in Australia. But like I've said so many times, you can't win the World Championship at Phillip Island, but you could lose it. You know,
so easily as well.
So easily. There's more than 700 points available in a World Superbike season. We saw Toprak come back strong in Portimao, and then we saw Andrea Locatelli finally get his first win of the season. In fact, his first ever World Superbike win for Yamaha. So 3 different manufacturers have won races. As I said before, I think this championship is going to go all the way down to the wire, and I think we're going to get something interesting here. Looking at these live pictures, there's Pecco Bagnaia. Not sure about his headband as a fashion accessory, but Pecco Bagnaia for me, a little bit underrated as this season's. He's been a little bit overshadowed, maybe just a little bit in his head with Marc Marquez, but he's been strong. I watched the qualifying or the practice yesterday. Pecco Bagnaia now starting, I think, to find his feet. And again, in MotoGP, it's a long season, isn't it? You're not going to win the championship at the end of this weekend. It's going to be an interesting race. But I'm so happy to see this guy back on pole position. First pole since Indonesia, I believe, a couple of years ago. And he's stuck loyal, hasn't he? He stayed faithful to Yamaha when he had options to go other places.
And I think that's what's been good, because we saw this as well with Maverick Vinales when he joined the team a couple of years ago. They went immediately on a downward spiral, but then that win at Phillip Island, Rossi finishing second, the sort of jubilation that they had, that's what Yamaha's all about. It's a real family of affairs, and I think we're seeing that as well right now. Pole position, and it was like they won the race earlier on when they were celebrating. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great to see, and I was watching yesterday, and I felt so sorry for him when he crashed at the final corner. It's like, no, come on, don't let that dent your confidence. And especially with that lap earlier in qualifying, we saw Marc break the lap record, the outright circuit record at Jerez on his very first flying lap, and I thought, it's game over. And then Fabio produced that lap, and I just hope for Fabio's sake that he can get it off the line and get it somewhere near the front into turn 1. My fear, however, is that the Ducati launch device and the launch systems work a little bit better than Yamaha. I think the fight is going to be between Pecco and Marc. That's my tip.
His biggest advantages, this is one of the shortest runs to the first corner, and it's uphill, massive incline here, Reth. So is that really a sort of a weakness for those with the ride height device? Because effectively, as soon as you launch off, you're scraping the underfloor immediately going uphill.
Yeah, you are. In turn 1, we've seen so many incidents in turn 1. I remember even lap 2 or lap 3, that infamous crash between Casey and Valentino, and we won't get into that one. But, drama can happen at turn 1. And as you said, it's such a short circuit, not just a short run to the first corner. I've been to Jerez 30, 40 times in my career. There's very little time for the riders to rest. Even the back straight on a MotoGP bike, on a superbike, it's not a back straight.
No,
you're literally straighting up into 6th gear and then straight on the brakes again. So, fortune favours the brave. I think Marquez is going to try to get out front and lead this from the front. Pecco's going to go with him. I hope that Quartararo could be somewhere in the top 3. Quartararo's problem is that if he is behind the Ducatis, he is going to have to pass them on the brakes. He doesn't have the legs with the Yamaha on a straight line. So that's going to be his problem. He's got to get it off the line, and he's got to get it around turn 1 clean.
Medium front, soft rear for the first of the top 3s. That's going to be important. But here it comes then. It's the MotoGP Tissot Sprint, round race 9 of the season. The MotoGP season hits Europe for the first time in 2025, and I don't know where it's hotter, right here at Donington Park or over at the Circuit de Jerez Anglo Nieto. Fabio Quartararo on pole position for Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia, your first 3. Then it's Alex Marquez on the second row with Franco Morbidelli and Maverick Vinales. Then it's Fermin Aldeguer starting in 7th, Fabio Di Giannantonio 8th. What an impressive one for the Juan Mir and Johan Zarco, 9th and 10th. Bezzecchi's in 11th with Acosta in 12th and Binder 13th. Then it's Miller, Aguirre, Marini, Raul Fernandez, Bastianini. Back in the championship is going to be Aleix Espargaro on his first wildcard appearance of the season. There's Augusto Fernandez and Songkat Chantra, just 21. Then it's going to be Salvadorian Rins at the back of the field, making up the 23. The warm-up lap is getting underway. Alongside me in the commentary box is Michael Hill, I should say. Sorry.
I've been called worse.
Yeah, I was going to say. And Megan Birch down there as well. It's the heat stroke getting to us, and we've just walked up a very big hill.
It's very hot.
Michael, here at Donington Park, there. Apparently it's going to get hotter as well, which is great. We're here at Donington, wonderful view in the commentary box, but we're not commentating on the Porsches that we can see just below us. We're commentating bikes. It's bike action that is going to be the greatest race today.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really, really exciting. We can see some onboard shots there, and credit to the Dorna World Superbike. World Superbike. I'm going to my natural habitat. That's my day job. Dorna MotoGP camera crew, because they've given us some great footage throughout the season, and especially this weekend. I think, interestingly, before this race gets underway, it's a sprint race. Tyre pressures and all those shenanigans shouldn't really feature too much. You already mentioned that most of the riders will be on the same tyres, so we shouldn't have to worry too much about that. There's been some big crashes this weekend. Quartararo starts from pole. He's been on the floor. Alex Marquez has crashed twice in the same session. Earlier in the weekend, he bounced back. He's on the second row of the grid. And also Frankie Morbidelli in qualifying had a pretty big crash as well. Let's hope they all make it safely around this. We saw the introduction of the sprint race a couple of years ago. Not sure I was a fan at the beginning. I think it's added a new dimension. It's certainly going to be an interesting race. I just hope for Fabio Quartararo, he's an emotional chap. I just hope he can get off the line and get into turn 1 and give the Ducatis a bit of a race.
We're going to be relying on Megan Birch, who's back there at the main commentary box HQ. Megan, our pictures sometimes good, sometimes pixelated. You've got the best 4K view in the house.
I do.
How was qualifying, and your thoughts going into this one?
Qualifying was decent. I'm very impressed with Alex Rins and how he was able to recover. And there's his teammate going round the track right now, who is currently on pole. But Alex Rins, after getting chucked into a air fence at extremely high speeds, along with his bike going into the next one, I'm very surprised he was able to actually get a time in qualifying. So that was good.
Here we go then, all ready for the start. 12 laps ahead of us. Quartararo and Marc Marquez. The ride height device, remember, will be crucial here up towards turn 1. Green flag at the back, eyes to the lights. It's a quick launch procedure. Look to the spaceship. Who's going to be blasting off first down to turn 1? Red lights, activate. And pull the throttle back as we go racing. Good start from Quartararo. Great start from Alex Marquez coming in the middle. And already Marc's in the lead by turn 1. He got that whole shot brilliantly. Quartararo's trying to come back on the inside. Marc's going underneath him down into turn 2. But Quartararo's got it as we hit 3. Alex already up to 3rd.
Impressive stuff from Fabio Quartararo, doing exactly what he needed to do. He must have been listening to us on the warm-up. Oh, Quartararo so wide through turn 3, and there's very little room there. That's where it all went wrong a couple of years ago for Marquez. But Quartararo being aggressive, doing what he has to do, and for the first time proper in 2025, we have a Yamaha in the lead. Now the question is going to be how much speed advantage does Marquez have down the back straight? But you see, it's not really as straight as they are. Already into the braking zone. It looks like a move there for Morbidelli on the inside of Pecco, and it is Morbidelli up into 4th.
Great stuff already as they come through. Well, it's a bit pixelated for us, but we can see the main action. You can tell which is blue, you can tell which is red coming into this one as well. So Quartararo doing well. D'Antonio get ahead of Vinales, Bezzecchi ahead of Mia Megan, and side by side Aldeguer trying to go on the inside of Digi.
Great
Aldeguer's
move
already
from
having a time
Fermin Aldeguer was...
Oh.
He had a bit of contact with
Yeah,
Vinales.
interesting stuff there, but Quartararo is still leading. Again, apologies, we've got a bit of a breakup here, so I can't hear every word that is being said from Commentary HQ. But Aldeguer, to your point, coming up from the Moto2 World Championship, very, very impressive. As it looks as though a little bit further back down the field, we can see our time is really not the best start for Aleix Espargaro, but it's going to be Quartararo that is going to lead across the line. 11 to go. Are we going to see a Yamaha win?
Is that the first time this year we've seen a Yamaha?
Yes.
Yeah, so no one, the first time anyone other than a Ducati has led the race here. That's already a big improvement. Remember, Marc has won so far 7 of the 8 races and includes all of the sprints as they come down again. Now this is what happens. Even in a sprint race here, they've all chosen roughly the same tyres. I can see that Zarco's on medium front, medium rear. But this is now very much either do you go now or do you save your tyres and go later? Marc wants to go now as they come down towards 5 and then the dry sack hairpin. Inside line is going to be key here.
Yeah, and I think Quartararo's really gone quick here. Look at that lap time from a standing start. They're in the 141s from a standing start down the back straight. Now you're going to see the difference, and Quartararo's got to go late on the brakes here.
He's out.
He's not going to be able to pass Marc. He's
he's
gone down.
Oh!
Yellow
I
flag,
don't
sector 3.
believe it. The one thing he didn't need to do. The one thing. And he's now handed them a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Quartararo out at the second lap. And it was the first time Marc showed him a wheel.
And here's a replay on the inside. Then goes Marc Marquez. And he's just offline. He's literally a metre offline. It's dirty out there. And unfortunately, Fabio Quartararo from 0 to 0 in the space of 35 seconds.
And he knows it. He knows it. Looking up to the sky, he knows what he's done there as well. He's missed out a big opportunity. A sprint counts just as much as a win these days. So Marc now leads the race. He's done a 1:36.7 last time, but Alex is quicker, 36.6. So again, it's now between the brothers once again. What a couple of races ago in Qatar was the brothers' grip. Now it could be one or the other.
This is really impressive stuff from Alex Marquez as they come down into turn 1. Marquez there, you could see, you called it actually, Joshua. Marc Marquez, he is aware that as this race gets going, it is going to be Pecco Bagnaia that is going to start finding his feet. It always takes 3 or 4 laps to get going. You can't do that in a sprint race. And now that Quartararo is out of the way, that's one less person for Pecco Bagnaia. Bagnaia now has clear track. The question is going to be how quickly can he latch onto the back of the Marquez brothers?
The one thing I'm worried about here is that we saw this in practice yesterday. Ducati in owning the top 6 as well. Yeah, look at Bagnaia. Reds to 1 and 2, 24-1, 38-1 as well. He's about 1/10 of a second each sector faster, so that's going to be a really key thing if he can just latch on. Remember, it is the GP25 bike for the main team, but it's not the same engine. It's different compared to what we have, because in pre-season testing they decided no, it wasn't great, we'll go back to 24. So it's basically the GP24 Evo the top 2 are running on as well. So Alex is actually not as a big a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What's interesting, looking at the live timing screens, red sectors for Marquez, which is immediately superseded by Alex, which is immediately superseded by Pecco. They are about 0.2 of a second per section, so about half a second a lap quicker than the rest of the field. We are potentially looking at another Marquez-Bagnaia podium. The question is, in which order, with 9.5 laps to go?
It would be fantastic if it could be Alex as well, the championship leader from a couple of races ago. Remember, he was Mr. Consistent up until Qatar. Bastianini's got ahead of Ralph Fernandez as well. I think as well that we've seen, look, yeah, Aleix down into 20th, proving he's a bit too race rusty, and of course on a brand new development Honda. So that's not good.
I think, you know, it's always an interesting one. We saw when Dani Pedrosa came back with KTM, and everyone was quite rightly jumping about the fact how quick he was. You've got to remember, this is a development bike with Honda. Aleix Espargaro has gone to that team with one purpose, and that is to help to turn Honda back into a winning manufacturer. So I wouldn't be too alarmed. He's not being paid to win races. He's being paid to...
The last couple of seasons, got that race win. What was that from Simon? That just
6 Ducatis in the top 6. We've heard that before this season, haven't we?
Yeah, it keeps coming through as well. As now you probably know how many notifications we get during the race. It's just the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Non-stop stuff as they come down in towards the hairpin. Bsky up into 8th place on the Aprilia. Head-to-head of Mir, then Acosta down in 10th position, not having the season that I think he or many people would have expected, but quite interesting hearing some of his comments. He's sticking with it, you know, he's gonna just persevere, and that's what you've got to do, you know. We've seen in the past when Ducati wasn't winning races, they've worked hard, they've built a bike that can now win, and Acosta's time will come. We know what a great talent he is.
Are we surprised about the fact is that compared to the end of last year, where we had so many teams in the hunt, it's coming to this season and Ducati once again just own it? Or are we going to see the same things as last year, where gradually as the year goes on, the likes of Yamaha, KTM and Aprilia, they'll all sort of come back?
I think they will come back, and I think, as you rightly pointed out when Quartararo went down and looked at the skies, this was a real opportunity, maybe not for the win, but certainly for a podium. And I think he realizes it's a missed opportunity, because it also means they don't get any data now. I mean, they do get data from the other Yamaha, but no disrespect to Alex Rins, he's down in 18th position. This is valuable data, and there is the forlorn figure of Fabio Quartararo. Heartbreak for the Frenchman, but if he can just keep that positivity, here's a replay into turn 1. They're both late on the brakes, bikes moving around. You can just see here, Quartararo is about a metre offline, and the front is going to gone. It's already gone. There's nothing that he could do, and he would have known that he was wide going into that corner.
What turn's that?
Next.
Is that 6?
Down at turn 5. Well, yeah, turn 6. Yeah, dry sack.
Turn 6. Yeah. And you
Yeah,
can see there just sliding to earth. He's got back to the pit. Oh, heartbreak for Fabio. He's an on board.
Let's take a look. So Mark's there. Lean angle's already in, and it went even onto the brakes. So,
Miller's down.
Miller. Miller's out. Jack Miller is out of the race.
Right, okay. Turn 6.
He's gone down, Megan. Where?
Turn 6.
Again, turn 6. Now that's our 6th crash of the weekend down there.
It's a
and
dirty
there is the
spot.
picture. Oh, dear me, it's all turning to a disaster for Miller, and we've seen him on the floor so many times this year. It's a shame for him. He had an opportunity this year to come to World Superbike, in fact.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
He turned it down,
He turned it down, wanted to stay in MotoGP, and I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? You want to stay at the top level. I guess if you're a driver in F1, you want to go to World Endurance. You want to try and keep your dream alive of being a MotoGP world champion. But I just think really now the level in MotoGP is so high. And you look at Marc Marquez, he isn't putting a wheel wrong. The gap at the front now is 0.9 of a second. The thing that does annoy me, now I can say this because I'm not officially in my job, I can say exactly what I think. What really annoys me on social media, and I very rarely will get political or say what I really think just because I don't want to offend anybody. Everybody last year moaned and whinged that Marquez should be given the factory bike. He was given the factory bike, and arguably rightly so. And Zarco has gone down as well.
Oh.
Unbelievable. So Zarco's gone out. We're waiting to see where that was.
I reckon that's turn 1. If it's
you
that
could be right.
Where is he on up? Oh,
that's 1 and
2.
Turn 2. Yeah, we've seen a lot of riders losing the front there. But the point I was going to say about Marquez, everybody moaning, saying, come on, give Marquez a chance, put him on a bike where he can win. To do that, he wins every race apart from the one that he crashed out in, and now everybody's moaning about it.
And it's like, well, what do you do now?
Yeah, it's a front end again.
Yeah.
Such an easy. Most crashes that you see at Jerez are front end crash. In the little Super Sport 300s, Moto 3, most of the crashes are front end. It's just the nature of the track.
Would a different tyre compound have any sort of difference with it? Because they've gone medium, they've gone conservative, but the soft rear, so the rear kicks out.
I don't think so. I mean, looking at track temperatures, I mean, we don't know what the track temperatures are right now, but certainly looking at the track temperatures yesterday, they were in the high 20s. Yeah,
45
track temperature,
is for ground,
45 degrees
24
ground
is
temperature. I don't think so. It's a sprint race.
Cheers, mate.
24 degrees air temperature. Yes, it's very similar to what we saw yesterday. I don't think, especially with the nature of this track, the tyres are constantly working. It's not like Sepang or Silverstone where you've got the long straights where they can lose a bit of central temperature. I just think it's a mistake.
Yeah, this is the worst. Well, actually, I think we're in the...
Yeah, talking about central temperatures.
We are boiling in here.
Boiling in here. Under the spaceship we go, 6 to go. The gap is now 1.2 seconds, and I'm going to call it now. Unless Marc Marquez makes a mistake, he is about to win again in the sprint race.
You've done it now, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, to be fair.
Well,
how much
turn
of this
6
would... I don't know. I kind of wish he didn't win the sprint race, because to me... That's true. I recently come box 3, we are. Tom, if you're listening. One thing I'm worried about as well is that Mark, this place, if he can win anything here, it sort of closes the book on what has been a horrible time in his career. It would be sort of justice to come back and
it's a full circle moment,
yeah.
isn't it? I agree with you. Full circle moment. Talking of full circle moments, nice to see Morbidelli running in 4th position. And there we've got a battle here between 2 guys that have... I'm trying to think if they did go head-to-head in Moto 2. I don't know whether Digi moved up before Firmin moved into Moto 2. I'm trying to rack my brains. But certainly 2 young guns for me that are going to have a very, very bright future. Firmin Aldeguer, interesting story. He's actually managed by Hector Faubel, who is the former runner-up in the Moto... Well, it was 125, but Moto 3 World Championship. He lost that championship in a stunning race in Valencia. I'm really good friends with Hector. We actually shared an apartment for a couple of weeks. Yeah, really, a long time ago. Great guy, Hector. He actually owns a hamburger restaurant.
Does he really?
He does.
I want to go.
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I can't remember. I've never been to it, but he was telling me about that, and he used a lot of the proceeds from that to fund his racing, which was really cool. And he's putting a lot back into the sport. He's been Firmin's personal manager since he sort of burst onto the scene as a 15, 16-year-old. He's a really great talent, is Firmin Aldeguer, and I think, didn't have the immediate start that we expected. I thought he'd be a little bit higher after testing. He's taken a couple of rounds to find his feet, and now if you look back at the last 2 or 3 races, he's been consistently in the points, and he's learning all the time. Currently running in 5th place. He's within a second of Frankie Morbidelli, who, let's not forget, has been a runner-up in the World Championship. This is impressive stuff from Aldeguer.
I really, really admire him as a racer as well. And I think last time at Qatar, we sort of saw him click with the bike more. The moves he was making in that race was certainly exciting. And after a dull Formula 1, where were we? Bahrain was all right, but it was certainly...
Jeddah was a bit processional, wasn't it?
Jeddah was very processional as well, yeah. So
that's what it would do to the championship.
I think 3 points. I think, well, it's pointless looking at that monitor. We may as well just look at this one here. So, 20 points.
20 points advantage to Marc Marquez. Pecco Bagnaia in that 3rd position. And you've got to say as well for Alex Marquez, and I know he's been in the shadow of his brother for a while, this is an impressive season for Alex Marquez. A couple of little mistakes, a couple of crashes, but he's stringing together when it counts. He's finishing races, and that's what is going to keep the pressure on Marc. Marc has won everything apart from when he's crashed. But, if Alex can just keep racking up the points, we've still got, 18 races to go in this championship? 18 rounds?
Yes.
So it's a long, long way to go yet. This championship is not done. I guess one rider we should mention that we haven't mentioned, we do not see Jorge Martin, the world champion. And for me, that's a massive shame, especially at Jerez.
Yes, because Jerez as well. Well, he crashed out there last year, but he was so dominant as well. And he's won here. So Bagnaia's won the last 3 here. So it's kind of surprised he's fallen off a little bit here. He's a second back to Alex. But did he come back too soon? Me and Megan had this discussion last time out as the flag's out, by the way, and the Porsche's out of his. Megan says yes. What's your take? Did he come back too soon? And was that crash sort of inevitable? We all said it was going to happen at some point.
I don't think necessarily the crash was inevitable because I think the throttle works both ways and he didn't have to push as hard as he was. But, I mean, ultimately he's a world champion, so you don't want to go there and wobble around. I'm a really different championship was his manager, and I understand it's very, very different. I don't manage a rider in World Championship at MotoGP. Was it too soon, given the injuries that he had and given how long the season is? My feeling is yes. I think he came back a little bit too soon. And I just think it's one of those situations where he could have had a little crash, walked away, and unfortunately he didn't. He crashed and it bit him. And I think now the people around him, a bit like when Mark came back too soon. He came back and then got injured again and then he was out. And there is the doctor watching on. I think for me now the people around Jorge will be like, okay, championship is gone. You aren't going to defend your championship. Even if you came back and won every race, you're 130 points behind now. You're not going to get that. So take your time, get fully fit, come back, have a strong end to the season, and 2026, let's try and recapture the World Championship. That's what I would be saying if I was in his corner.
And it helps with the fuel limit regulations coming in as well. So game on for all of it at the moment. Coming up on 3 laps to go then. For those of you listening in, Marc Marquez leads from Alex Marquez second, Bagnaia's third, Morbidelli's fourth, Aldeguer fifth, then followed by Di Antonio, Vinales, Bezzecchi, Mir and Acosta. Points go down to 8th if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if it's 8 or 10.
Yeah.
9th.
It's the same as World Superbikes,
yeah,
right?
So it's 9. Yeah, 9.
So 12. There's Dani Pedrosa. We're not going to see him, I don't believe, on track this year. He's still a development rider for KTM, but with all the the issues going on with KTM, I don't believe we will see a wild card from KTM, which is a shame. It'd be nice to see Danny back out there. And he for me is one rider that I think should have won a MotoGP World Championship.
100% he should have won.
You know,
I still kick everything that happened in 2013. That last race, it was him, Lorenzo, and Marquez, and Marquez took it. Yeah. And then he was in the mix, but he never really got a chance after 2013.
No,
that was
it never
his last
happened
shot.
for him. Never happened for him. We're coming up there with 2.5 laps to go. It's been another dominant performance for Marc Marquez. We'll never know now whether Fabio Quartararo would have had an answer. Looking at the lap times and looking at how comfortable Quartararo looked, I think we would have been seeing a Marquez 1-2 with Quartararo on the box. I think he would have beaten Bagnaia.
We'll see
That's my
definitely.
personal feeling from what I'm seeing.
Let's see tomorrow. They start the ball again.
They start the same again. But I guess,
second chance.
I guess tomorrow will be a slightly different race. They won't be going as hard, but second chance tomorrow for Fabio. And I really, really just hope, not just for him, but for the whole team, for the manufacturer, and for the championship. You know, I know everybody talks about it being a Ducati Cup, and we do still have 6 Ducatis in the top 6, but they've built a bike to the rules. And you can't fault the manufacturer for that. You know, that's like last year we talk about in World Superbike. Oh, but BMW, they had the concessions. Yeah, but they used their concessions in a way to their advantage to build a bike around Toprak, and that's what helped them, you know. So, but ultimately, you've still got to get the guys on the bike. If me or you, no disrespect, man, I don't know how fast you would be on a bike, but we wouldn't be within 5 to 10 seconds of what these guys are doing, right?
Having sat on a bicycle, having sat on one of the bikes here at Donington for the WCR bikes, I can tell you that I nearly fell off just sitting on it.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So you've got to, as much as the bike there is quick, you've got to give some credit to the riders. So yes, we do have 6 riders in the top 6, but you've still got to ride the bike. And I think a lot of people forget that sometimes. It's quite easy to look those. We're just being informed that Savadori has a track limits warning. He, of course, former Stock 1000 champion, Aprilia test rider, and obviously he is the replacement rider, isn't he, for Jorge Martin?
And arguably doing a solid job, because there's no way at his advanced age as well, let's just say that, I know he's only, 32, 33, but in motorcycle racing, to come into this category, it's practically a death sentence. We've got our first race lining up outside here in the commentary box at Donington, I think, for the F4s, so that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, he's sort of doing the best that needs to be done, which is just getting test data for Aprilia to improve that bike. Morbidelli said himself, we're nowhere near last year, and that's a shocker.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, AZ, Fabio did crash.
Last lap, the gap has come down. I'm getting excited here, folks. It's 1.1 seconds now. The gap's come down by 0.2 of a second, but I think Marquez is just controlling this. I mean, he is arguably the most talented rider, naturally talented rider, I think, that we've seen in the last 10 years, in my opinion. I'm not taking it. And again, you've got to compare apples with apples.
Oh, hang on. I was going to say, I agree with you, because I said, and it's very controversial, if Mark was on that factory bike last year, no, neither Bagnaia or Martin would have been in the championship hunt. I got a lot of stick last year for saying it was amateur hour to win the championship, because they both made mistakes so frequently. It was like neither of them wanted to win the championship, whereas Mark kept consistent. If he had the bike up, he would have won it easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I would go as far as saying amateur hour, because I think anybody that wins, I think anybody that wins a MotoGP race, let alone a championship, is far from amateur. But I get your point, and I think I got stick on social media a few years ago when I was talking about, I said that Valentino should have potentially retired earlier. Not because I don't think he's a great champion, but just, you know, we don't want to remember him for being 12th and 13th. Yeah. We want to remember him for the legacy that he created. And I think different eras, I mean, growing up as a kid, as we're on the last lap now, looking at Marquez cruising to victory here, you know, my hero was Wayne Rainey. And then it moved on from, you know, it was the Eddie Lawsons, the Wayne Raineys, then into Kevin Schwantz, and then it progressed all the way through. So every rider has their time, right?
Final sector.
You know, I think for me, when you look at what Mark could do on a motorcycle, he is just a naturally gifted, talented rider, and I think we're all blessed to see him race. And I think the hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be crammed into Jerez as they come into the final corner. Marc Marquez is about to win again, Josh.
Well, it's one chapter closed. It all started here to go wrong, and it's part 1 of making it right. Marc Marquez wins the sprint here for the Spanish Grand Prix. His brother leads home a 1-2 at their home venue. And then we get Pecco Bagnaia finishing in 3rd place. And then it is arguably quite a distance. It was 2 seconds in the end between Bagnaia and Alex. Morbidelli did give a fight to him at the line, though, with Bagnaia, 0.4 of a second. But Aldeguer, another still in 5th. But once again, the same top three again and again and again. But it's joys all around.
Yeah, the whole Marquez family will be celebrating tonight. Dad, mum, girlfriends, everybody down there. It's another Marquez 1-2. Pecco Bagnaia now is going to be really scratching his head because he did not have an answer there. There was not even a glimmer of a fight from Pecco. And again, quite openly, he says he's not a fan of the sprint. He likes the longer races, so we're going to see a different situation. But again, as you said earlier, he made mistakes last year. Jorge did as well. But you can't afford to give away points even in the sprint race now. 12 for the win, 9-7. That's another 5 points that Pecco has given away.
I'm just worried that they are lined up on the grid. It is Formula 4, and I've just looked over, and Richard John Neal, whose booth he was working in, has left his iPad. So I might nip that down to ITV in a few moments and say, does Richard need his iPad? Because he's about to give you commentary. Right, Megan, you've got a better results than us. Could you just quickly run us through?
Okie dokie. Right, so Marc Marquez wins the Tissot sprint for here in Spain, equaling the most amount of wins with Jorge Martin on 5 winners for the Tissot sprint. Second place is Alex Marquez. Third place is Francesco Bagnaia. And 4th is Morbidelli. Aldeguer is 5th. 6th is D'Antonio. Vinales is 7th. 8th is Bezzecchi. Mir is 9th. 10th is Acosta. Binder is in 11th. 12th is Ayagura, Marini is in 13th, 14th is Bastianini, Rins is 15th after his crash earlier on in FP2, Fernandez Ralvarez is in 16th and Augusto Fernandez is in 17th, Aleix Espargaro is in 18th, 19th is Salvadori, Chantra is in 20th and retired from the race is Zarco, Miller and Quartararo.
Okay, thank you, Megan. As we will begin to wrap up.
You're breaking up a lot.
Because I absolutely do not want to let
Great job.
John not have his commentary notes up in the commentary. He's probably going to be swearing at me by about now. Michael, your thoughts on that sprint race again for the weekend?
Another procession race. Nothing really else to say. I think we were robbed of what could have been a cracker when Fabio went down. Marquez, Alex, that is, did a
Thank you
for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow then. Continuing coverage. Next up, GB3 is at Silverstone here on the 2nd.
And I think we've lost Joshua, kind of.
It's really hot in here, isn't it?
Okay. Right, so given the fact that that was broken up quite a lot due to interference from things, I will end the session since we weren't able to hear the last bits of Joshua, and I'm getting massive interference here on my TV screen. So thank you for watching from all of us here. Please go over to the main channel and keep an eye out for what is on this channel. Thank you. Goodbye.